So the good vibes of this current group is exactly what Bobby Webster wants to stick with going forward. So now the challenge being, how do you add to it without detracting from that? I'm joined now by Fan 590 morning show host, trade deadline guru, overall good guy, Blake Murphy, to discuss all things deadline, which of course is 3 p.m. tomorrow. And Blake, let's start with where the Raptors stand going into this situation. Obviously, Goran Dragic and his expiring contract, a unique piece, as Bobby put it. But what else do they have to maneuver with when it seems they're not going to be willing to part with any of their core players?
The Dragic piece is the most interesting, and I think that's in large part because just that. You don't have to take from your core if you use Dragic's contract to add. And what you can do is Dragic makes about $19.44 million. You can take back a little bit extra salary on top of that. The Raptors are a little close to the tax, so they won't want to go too far over Dragic's deal, but you can attach picks to that. You can attach lower end roster players to that. You can do pretty much whatever you want in terms of using Dragic to take back extra salary. So you look at the draft chest, they own all of their first round picks. So you can move up to 4 first round picks up to 7 years out. They own 5 of their next 7 second round picks. They obviously have some other players on the roster they could use either as assets or to make the salaries work. But Dragic is a big piece. You can take back 18, 20 million if you send him out and you attach a first round pick to that. That's a pretty good package for some teams looking to shed money.
Well, we also know what maybe the weaknesses of the Raptors have up to this point. A lot of people like to point immediately to maybe a bona fide big man, more depth with shooting. Who do you think that they need to target in order to bolster this group?
Now, there are 2 different ways you could go about it. And the first one is obviously they don't have anyone on the roster over 6'9". They're one of the worst defensive rebounding teams in the league. They're not a great rim protection team, but the center market is pretty thin. Our Michael Grange reported earlier today that the Raptors were rebuffed in their efforts to get Jakob Poeltl back. Miles Turner seems to be off the market now that the Pacers have traded Domantas Sabonis. Maybe you look at an expiring contract like a Jusuf Nurkic, or maybe you say, hey, we're okay with not having a traditional center. We're going to get some backcourt help. We're going to get some bench depth. The Raptors rank dead last in most bench categories. So if you can turn Dragic, who isn't playing, into anything, whether that's a Bogdanovic, a Gallinari, a Eric Gordon, even a lower cost player like a guy we'll see tonight in Kenrich Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder, anyone is going to help if they're adding and nothing's going out.
Well, and the hybrid approach has been working, right? And it's who wants to fit into Nick Nurse's school of thought, because that's always another part of this whole challenge. It hasn't been a twiddle our fingers type of deadline here, Blake. Very busy so far. I was happy for Norm Powell going back home. I was sad for Chauncey Billups, and I was confused when it came to the Kings. And I'm curious what trade so far has caught your interest or was most exciting so far.
Well, the nice thing if you're a Kings fan is you're used to being confused. So I actually like that deal fine. Domantas Sabonis is very good, a very efficient scorer. He's probably a little more functional defensively than he gets credit for. But my big takeaway from the early trades is that if you're a team like the Raptors who might be willing to take on long-term money, the cost to get players might not be all that expensive. The Clippers didn't really give up a ton in terms of asset cost to get Norman Powell and Robert Covington. Karis LeVert was part of a bigger package, but really when it came to picks, that was what projects as a non-lottery first and a high second. So if you're a team like the Raptors, again, Dragic's contract, you have most of your picks that you can move from, maybe that willingness to take back money is the key swing piece on this year's market.
Does James Harden leave the Nets, Blake?
Does James Harden get his hamstring healthy enough in time to get dealt? There's certainly a lot more rumors picking up today, and that's maybe the holdup. We didn't see a ton get done today, and that's probably in part because if that deal takes place, well, you're going to see a whole bunch of ripples from there, and who knows, maybe you're looking at the East a little differently if you're the Raptors.
Absolutely. All right, lots of trade deadline coverage with you on the Fan 590 morning show, so make sure you tune in for that. Thank you so much, Blake.
Thanks.